Some believe that the idea of a creator began as a way for early humans to explain the mysteries around them: the fire, the wind, the stars. They imagined the forces behind each one, weaving gods and creators into the fabric of existence. You would think that our growing understanding of the universe would make the idea of a higher power obsolete, but here we are, still asking the same questions, still searching for something beyond ourselves. In the 19th century, the world was changing at a dizzying pace. Industry and science surged forward. New machines could do the work of dozens, and science was unraveling mysteries of the universe that had been chalked up to a divine will. Humanity was moving from belief to understanding, and one of the first people to notice was a man named Friedrich Nietzsche. God is dead. He remains dead, and we have killed him. For centuries, religion was the lifeblood of Europe. The church dictated everything: how people lived, how they thought, even how they explained the world. From wars to the stars, God was at the center of it all. But then came the Enlightenment, a movement that placed reason above faith. Thinkers like Voltaire and Kant questioned dogma and offered secular explanations for morality and ethics. By the 19th century, the scientific revolution was in full swing, and for many, the cosmos seemed to make sense without the divine creator. Nietzsche's famous line, that the God is dead, isn't a triumph or a celebration. It's a warning. He didn't mean that the literal God had died, but rather that belief in God as the ultimate source of meaning and morality was fading. Nietzsche saw religion as the backbone of European values, a structure that gave purpose to people's lives. But as science and reason gained ground, that structure was crumbling. If society continued to abandon its belief in God, he argued it would lose the moral foundation it had relied upon for centuries. Nietzsche wasn't speaking in a vacuum. By his time, Europe was already experiencing what he feared. Industrialization brought profound social change, uprooting traditional ways of life. People flocked to the cities, leaving behind their communities and often their faith. Science questioned the old narratives about creation and morality. Darwin's theory of evolution, for instance, challenged the story of the divine creation directly, suggesting humans were part of a natural process, not a divine plan. This rise of science, industry, and secular thought had stripped God of its relevance. In Nietzsche's words, humanity had killed God by no longer needing him to explain the world or give life meaning. If you are familiar with Nietzsche's work, this position doesn't make sense at first. After all, Nietzsche was openly critical of religion, particularly Christianity, which he saw as promoting a slave morality, a set of values that he believed encouraged weakness, obedience, and self-denial. To Nietzsche, Christianity's emphasis on humility and meekness was life-denying, suppressing human potential and creativity in favor of submission to a higher power. He argued that such a worldview crushed the human spirit, leading people to deny their true desires and natural instincts. Yet, when Nietzsche declares that God is dead, he isn't rejoicing in the downfall of Christianity or cheering on its decline. Rather, he is recognizing a profound loss. For all his disdain for religious dogma, Nietzsche understood that belief in God provided structure, purpose, and a moral compass for society. With the death of God, that framework was disappearing, leaving a void that he feared might lead humanity into a state of meaninglessness, or what he preferred to call nihilism. In Nietzsche's view, although traditional religion might have held people back in some ways, its absence was even more dangerous because it left people spiritually adrift, without clear values to guide their lives. Without a higher power to turn to, Nietzsche believed that it was now up to us to create our own values, to seek meaning not from external doctrines but from within. He proposed the concept of the Übermensch as the ideal of a person who could rise above conventional morality and take full responsibility for shaping their life and purpose. The Übermensch would reject dogma and instead live by a self-made moral code, grounded not in obedience or submission but in commitment to growth, creativity, and self-mastery. To Nietzsche, the Übermensch represented the next step in human evolution, an answer to the void left by a dead God. Rather than falling into nihilism where life is seen as meaningless, the Übermensch would create meaning with conviction, courage, and deep respect for their own freedom. Morality without God, Nietzsche believed, wasn't about abandoning ethics, but about redefining them, choosing to live by values like strength, resilience, and compassion, not because the higher power demands it, but because they reflect our highest potential as human beings. Nietzsche saw this as a chance for humanity to take on a divine role, not in a sense of supernatural power, but in becoming the creators of our own destiny. To become God meant to face the vastness of existence with strength, to live fully and intentionally, knowing that we alone are responsible for the values we bring into the world. In a godless universe, Nietzsche argued that this act of self-overcoming, of forging a path without looking to the heavens for guidance, was perhaps the highest form of life that we could achieve.